So there's a presidential election coming up in November, I believe, in Ireland. And some people are paying attention to this. Some people aren't. Some people think it's just a ceremonial rule. It doesn't really hold any clout. Will it be more of the same? Who really cares about it? But the bottom line is whoever goes into that position come November will have some bearing on the way that Ireland goes heading forward. And to discuss this and to discuss a candidate that for many people may have been slipping under the radar for this is the one and only Mark Anthony, aka the Cookstown Sizzler. Mark, welcome back. How are you doing?
How you doing, Rick? You keeping well?
Not doing too badly now. Just having a wee look at some of the things that you have been posting. I want to kick it off here because this is important. So people would do well to pay attention to this. You put a post up the other day using your X or Twitter account on Bunrock Nahern 1937. There'll be a link to that in the description box underneath this video. Era does not need 7 to 14 more years of left-wing, socialist, Marxist, godless ideologies, virtue signaling, deep state establishment candidates. It's time for a swing in the pendulum. It's time for common sense. And we'll have a picture up here of Connolly, one of the presidential hopefuls here. That's a bit of a mouthful there. You're talking about left-wing, socialist, Marxist, godless ideologies, virtue signaling, deep state establishment candidates. Is it really that bad?
Yes. That's a short answer. Yes. Sure. Just look recently, they were looking to remove mothers from the Constitution and the word family. So in a Christian society, family is the moral institution upon which society thrives or demise. They're looking to remove God from the judicial oath. If they remove God from the judicial oath, sure, who's accountable or whatever. And the reasoning for this here is to remove God from the judicial oath because some judges don't believe in God. They're atheists. This and this is the law, Rick. Okay, this is the law, and it has been flouted. It has been flouted to an extent where even the people think it is worthless document. It's not a worthless document. There's Article 38.1, there's Article 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. And they are fundamental rights, and they are enshrined in it. And there's certain guarantees in it. And they talk about inalienable, imprescriptible rights, antecedent and superior to all positive law. And Maria Steen put that till the now Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, on RTE in a debate. And that's what I like, as I say, we wake up era, and Barry and the gang and wake up era, we created these here, right? And it was about, that was one there was about durable relationships, right?
That was to do with it. Just so to keep people in the picture here, there were two referendums that happened last year. One of them was to do with changing the name of family to durable relationship, number one.
And cherish and other durable relationships.
Other durable relationships. The second one was to remove the word mother also from the Constitution. These are things that would have been inconceivable that anyone would have even fathomed tabling that motion, up until this time. Is that not a sign, a reflection, or is that not a sign of the times in which we live, that we have a family-hating, God-hating, Ireland-hating administration in place at the minute, to the point whereby they want to remove those two terms from the Constitution?
Have we lost our moral compass? Ethically, morally, have we lost our moral compass that we want to eradicate women, while the virtue signaling left wing, which is an adopted ideology, American politics, left wing right wing.
Mm-hmm.
There's always one pulling the strings up above people. We know that. We know that there's lobbyists, and the lobbies, they lobby the government to push certain agendas, to push this, to push that, diversity, equity, and inclusion, to push the Green New Deal, to push climate change, to push this, to push that. And it's all globalization. And if you look at on Dáil, the Irish Parliament, the House of the Oireachtas, and Áras, the house where the president, Áras Uachtaráin. If you look at that there, it's all up the left, literally up the left. Sinn Féin are left-wing Marxists, okay? Borderline communist, they're socialist, they're everything. They're all of them, their things, right? Then you have the socialists. They're all socialist, communist, Marxists. Then you have Soc Dem, or whatever Soc Dems. You have the Greens. You have every one of them are left-leaning. Even the representatives that we have in the European Union and that Parliament are all left-leaning. What do you call them, McBoy or whatever, and your woman. And what do they all have in common? They all want to talk about everything but what's good for this country. They all want to talk about other countries. They want to talk about, there's Micheál Martin stood up in the house in the Oireachtas, coming from a Fianna Fáil party. Fianna Fáil is Devil Irish Party. The man who created the Constitution. And he stands up and he says, we want nothing to do with a backward way of sovereignty.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, they turn around and they say, we want to protect the sovereign nation of Ukraine. That doesn't make sense.
No.
And then the virtue signaling for Gaza. Now, don't turn around and say, oh, racist, da, 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 da. I condone what's happening in Gaza. I condone Israel for what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah.
It's genocide. We can see it. But me sitting here shouting about it and marching in the streets and all that, and virtue signaling, the virtue signaling was that bad, they're that pathetic at it, they went to Electric Picnic. An Electric Picnic, all the comments has lit up. Why? Because they're the Coca-Cola, a Coca-Cola tent, and you had Kneecap, and you had all these here artists standing up that are getting into a Range Rover after it and took away to a 5-star hotel and flew out somewhere else, maybe to a party, drinking away, snorting the heads of themselves, doing whatever these rock stars do, you know. But then they stand on stage and they do what their paymasters, because the BBC and the British government, or the British government, actually fund Kneecap. Now you can look that up, because Kneecap took the British government to the court because the British government was looking to cut the funding off, and they took them to court and won to keep the funding going. So these people running about saying Mokiara, and sitting calling people West Brits, and they're taking the soup. That old saying, they're taking the soup. And then they're standing in pictures with Jerry Adams drinking bottles of Buckfast like they're hip and they're cool. Is Jerry Adams going to run for this presidential election? Cuddly Jerry now with the long hair and the big beard and all, disappeared there for 20 years, wrote a lot of cookbooks, and now he's coming back and he's free Gaza, free Gaza. You couldn't even free Northern Ireland, Jerry.
No. And you see the kneecap thing as well. It's worth noting too that they were being, in their words, persecuted, and that they were trying
Mhm.
to take away their freedom of speech
Freedom
because
of
they're
speech.
prancing about. And on the same token, on the same flip side of that coin, they were leading the charge to try and get the festival cancelled in County Leitrim, which then had to move to Mayo because apparently 600 signatories had came out against it, and they said that it should be stopped, it should be banned. It was right wing and it was extremism, and all it was a celebration of people coming together to talk, to eat, to drink, to have a bit of crack, to listen to music, and to debate issues and celebrate their culture and their heritage. That's the same people that you're talking about that literally, as a kneecap, are taking.
Don't forget Christy Moore and Francis Black.
Uh-huh.
And what have they all got in common? Well, they're all members of Sinn Féin.
Uh-huh.
They're all party members. They're all, you know what I mean? You have a membership, you know what I mean? And you pay up to
Uh-huh.
it. Because they're at all their art fashions and all that every year, doing a wee hoolie and da da da. These people are milking you dry, sitting up in their ivory towers, people. And they're playing you like fools. Yes, I feel sorry for the people of Gaza. And I feel sorry also for the other 19 countries in the world facing starvation and famine at the minute that the BBC and ITV and CNN and Fox News and every news outlet in the world doesn't want to talk about. Al
Uh-huh.
Jazeera will give them the odd mention or something like that, but sure, they're blocked.
Nobody's
You can't
talking
find
about
them on
Sudan, are they?
anymore.
Nobody's got a
Because
Sudan.
they're telling the truth, like they're telling about Syria, they're telling about North Sudan, South Sudan, they're talking about Ethiopia facing a second famine in 40 years.
Uh-huh.
Where's Bono? Where's what do you call him?
Geldof.
Bob Geldof. He
Geldof.
doesn't like Mondays. That's maybe why But look, where's all these people at? Second famine in 40 years. Shame on them.
Uh-huh.
Fool me once. What's that I was saying?
Fool me once, and it's on me. Fool me twice.
Fool on me. You'll not fool me twice, people. You'll not fool me twice. Might have done it whenever we'd just a box in the corner back in 1985 with all these rock stars
Right. It
virtually signaling again.
was 40 years
Did
ago.
they
Would you
sort
believe that?
Ethiopia out? Did they sort Ethiopia out?
No.
Did they sort Ethiopia out? No, they didn't. Malaria is still killing everybody in Ethiopia. Starvation still killing everybody in Ethiopia. And if they aren't, Bill Gates is finishing them up.
You see the thing, case in point, we're saying about the importance of, what's coming next, and you're painting a
Let's get
picture
back to
there.
it. This is very
People, no, but what I mean is, people are, back in the day when you're talking about Live Aid that came out in 1985. It was July 1985. They had that big concert,
July 9th, was it, or July
July the
13th?
7th. It could have been the 7th, but it was the start of July 1985. So we're talking 40 years ago. And as you say, 40 years ago, you had a box in the corner of your living room. The whole family sat and watched it. And whatever came out of that box, you took as the gospel. You thought that maybe the back in, you were a kid then, back then, you didn't know anybody. You believed what your teachers told you. You believed that the police were going to uphold the law under every circumstances. You believed the justice system was just and the justice was done in every case. You
Well, I
believe
didn't.
what the man, well, no, maybe with the odd exception, but I'm talking about generally when you're young and back in the
Yeah.
80s, before
You
you
thought
wake up,
everything was black and white.
you thought it was all black, and people were legit, and there were many people could be trusted just at face value. Now we know that's
You thought
completely
there was a
different.
candy pole at the North Pole.
Correct. And the wee fairy came and stuck a 50p under your pillow whenever you had lost a tooth, or a man come down the chimney at Christmas and left you presents. You left them a wee bit of carrot out for the reindeer. Remember, a
Oh, the
glass
good
of
old
milk,
times.
a glass of milk and a cookie. Well, there's no cookies getting left out for the reindeers at the minute. And back to the presidential business,
Yeah.
because we talked about this here. The last thing we need is another 7 to 14 years of, in your words, left-wing socialist, Marxist, godless ideologies, right? There's another post that you put up, and this is all leading up to, okay, because people go, well, what do you suggest? What do you suggest? There's no point in moaning about it. What do you suggest? So we're going to come up with a suggestion here. We're building up to it. Marius Steen, someone that you've highlighted, I've noticed you highlight, and I wasn't not aware of her really. I'd seen her picture popping up from time to time. Steen has a proven track record for actively protecting the fundamental institutions of family, marriage, and protection of the unborn, a trinity of morals and ethics. Modern era has failed horribly to protect and cherish for a prosperous, continued, and future of national life. Now, some people would say, "Well, I'm not interested in religion. I'm not interested in you preaching about morals." Not everybody has to buy into the religious concept. Not everybody
Not
has
about
to.
religion.
You and me are not exactly what you would call, I don't know, choir boys or altar boys. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But we'll have some kind of direction and some
Well,
type of
you're a
moral
Protestant and I'm a Catholic.
you know, well,
And
some
here we
kind of.
are talking about a common theme that we would. I know you agree with it. I
Mhm,
agree with it.
mhm,
And my thing is here, all them people that had the tricolours walking in the streets of Dublin would agree with this. Any
mhm,
sentiment that I've heard would agree with a lot. Maybe the gay marriage thing, right? You know what I
mhm,
mean? You can let that one slide, right? But the abortion thing and all that, we're seeing marches for Jesus in Dublin, in Belfast, in Derry. They're growing huge. We're seeing the men with a rosary on the
mhm,
streets turning up in Belfast, kneeling down, hundreds of men on their knees saying the rosary.
mhm.
This isn't about religion, people. Don't get emotional. Don't bring your emotions into this here. This is about what's right and what's wrong. Just because society says it is right doesn't mean it is right. Just
Mhm.
because the TV tells you it's right doesn't mean it's right. So what I've been watching this for 5 years. This took off whenever they initiated the emergency powers during the COVID response and all that. And everything has been turned upside down a million miles in air. We've had legislation fired at us. We've had national elections and local elections and lockdowns and open ups and lockdowns and stand up, wear your mask, sit down, wear your mask,
Mhm.
hands, face, space. Happy birthday to you all this year. We've been through the mill. And we thought after COVID, maybe okay, right? Things will start getting back to normal. Ask yourself the question. Ask yourself an honest question. And if your answer is, "Oh, well, I think everything's back to normal," well, you're living in Narnia.
Mhm.
Ask yourself, has it get back to normal? Is it getting back to normal? Look at the education. As I say, the Constitution, right? Articles 40 to 44 is your fundamental rights. That is what Steen, I believe, through her past actions, through her contribution to keeping the woman in the Constitution and protecting the family, through this, I believe she has the Constitution at heart, but her heart is in the right place. Because if
Yeah,
you cannot protect those fundamental principles in life, society falls, people.
it does.
And
And it
society
always
falls
has.
very
It
quick.
always has. It
It
always
always
has.
has. It always
Mhm.
has. You
It
can
always has.
introduce this and you can introduce that. If you're ramming it down people's throat, the people should have the final say of all questions of national policy. That's what the Constitution. That's what the Crotty judgment actually. The Crotty judgment came back with that there. So what does it? The consequences of the bill, how long the Supreme Court has been into when the president, no, right, no, sorry about that, Rick. That
It's all
was,
right.
I was trying to look for something there and I'll just keep it this. We're going to continue on here on Steen.
Yeah.
My reason, if you're a young mother and you're sitting at home with two or three weans, maybe he's left you, maybe circumstances, we'll just call it circumstances,
Mhm.
circumstances prevailing. Everybody's in different circumstances. We've
Yes.
got single parents. We've got cohabiting parents, but maybe one parent's not worth two hoots to the other one.
Mhm.
Maybe
Mhm.
lying in the pub, maybe lying off their head. You know what I mean? These things happen in society, and that is another sign of a failing society.
Mhm.
because of pressures to bring in addiction and things like that. You know, so if you're one of these young women who's sitting at home, Maria Steen's your candidate.
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of them people that was carrying that tricolour on any of them days, or at any of these protests up and down the country, for whatever reason, Maria Steen's your candidate. Even with young Harvey and the scoliosis and families like it that are going through similar, wouldn't be it scoliosis, cancer, whatever the case may be. Maria Steen is your best option. She's your candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Why? You're going to play a video here, maybe, Rick, of
I'm going to play it now, yeah.
two videos. There's two videos, but we'll play the one with the blue background on RT first, and then we'll play the
Actually,
one
of the one of her standing. This was
with her child.
The one with the child, and what I want to try and do is, I have no skin in this game. It doesn't matter to me who's elected as the next president of Ireland. But what I'm trying to do is, with the amount of people, and there's names there. I've got a wee poll, you know, that'll show before the end of this. There's names on there that I've seen before. There's people on there, I've no idea who they are. And if it wasn't for you focusing in on this lady in particular, and the only reason why I paid it any attention is, you know, I value your opinion, I respect your opinion, and I'm thinking, well, if he's you know, making a noise, a bit of a noise, as much as of a noise as you can make about this particular candidate, there must be something in it. So therefore, if he's interested in it, it might be worth bringing her to maybe a wider audience of people that don't know her. So I'm going to play a wee quick video clip. This is her with her wee girl.
We're here at Dublin Castle. It seems
this was just after the last the two referendums.
It was the 9th of March 2024, the day after International Women's Day and the eve before Mother's Day. And I thought this video, that day felt amazing to me. It was a win till the people. The establishment got beat by the people. They were encroaching too far, and the people spoke up. And that encouraged all the election, all the candidates for the elections and all after. This year encouraged every one of them to step forward into the arena, whatever. Oh, I'm going to put my name forward. Maybe it was wrong mistakes, too many people going. There wasn't enough thought process put into it. But this video here sums it up for me. So it's a mother standing elegant, well-spoken, educated, holding her daughter in her arms the day before Mother's Day, and what she says here, what she opens up with is her opening statement, I think, just sums it all up. It was a win for common sense.
Well, let's give her a spin here. And again, maybe this is the first time, and you can go by your gut instinct here. What's your first impression? If you're seeing this for the first time, you're hearing this woman speaking for the first time, what's your gut instinct on it compared to, for example, some of these other candidates that are putting themselves forward with a big question mark after their name? So this was after the win-win for the people after the two referenda last March, the day before Mother's Day.
Like the two referendums that the government proposed on care and the family have been resoundingly defeated. I'm wondering, what's your initial reaction?
Yeah, it's a great victory for common sense. And I think it's also clearly a rejection by the Irish people of, you know, the political elites, NGOs like the National Women's Council, who are funded by public monies and who really pushed the government to run this referendum. It's also a rejection of a campaign of misinformation by the government, who would not engage with the reasonable concerns of the no side. And it's also a rejection of a government that seems more concerned with social media plaudits than actually getting on with the business of governing the country. But in addition to that, it's a very positive statement, and it's an expression by the Irish people of gratitude and of love. Gratitude to women for the work that they do in their homes that's often unseen and unsung. gratitude to mothers for the unique and irreplaceable role that they play in their children's lives and in the lives of their families, and a recognition of the special place that marriage has in our constitution and that they want to retain there. On coming up to Mother's Day tomorrow, it's just the best Mother's Day present ever.
I'm wondering, you mentioned the National Women's Council earlier, and obviously, as you say, they're in receipt of state funding, and it's claimed by themselves and by government supporters of that organisation that they are representative of women and women's causes. And yet I put it to Minister Roderick O'Gorman today that it seems as though the women of Ireland have soundly rejected a campaign that they fully backed. And he said that he didn't think that was reflective of any kind of wider repudiation of them as an organisation. He said effectively that, this is just two issues and that people have rejected those issues, but that it's not a rejection of them more broadly and as an organisation. As a woman, as a mother who's campaigned on this, I'm wondering what's your reaction to that?
Look, it's very obvious. The women of Ireland have rejected this proposal. The National Women's Council is completely out of touch and does not represent the majority of women. It certainly doesn't represent mothers in the home and never has done absolutely nothing to further the cause for women who want to spend time with their babies and their children in their homes. You know, those years fly by so quickly. It's such a short time.
Mark, just to put people in the picture here as well, here we'll have a woman who's obviously passionate about children, passionate about the country in which she lives in, passionate about rights for women and mothers, okay? And that's set against the backdrop of she's talking about the National Women's Council, who are as far from being a council for women nationally as you could hope to get. She talks about Roderick O'Gorman mentioning in there about what he wants to dip his paws into this cauldron as well. This is a man who doesn't have nor will ever have a family or knows anything about.
He's homosexual.
Let's be honest about it. It is what it is. So what a bizarre situation to be in, where you have a woman who has 5 kids, who has her career, who loves her country, who has her faith, standing there effectively preaching about common sense to a nation that on the surface of things looks like it has lost its mind.
Yeah. We're in troubled waters here, people, and this country's crying out for a leader. And leaders come out of different places at different times when you least expect them. All the other people are nearly career politicians that are running for this prestigious office. Maria Steen has put out, maybe you'll put a link in, why she's running for it, and she explains, she's an architect, she's a barrister, she's got 5 children. The oldest is 18, the youngest is 3, which I'm sure that was the wee girl she was holding in her arms there. So if she gets this here for 14 years, even when she's leaving office, that young girl that she was holding in her arms will still only be 17 years of age. We need to stop this left and right wing, because Paul Murphy and all them, there's only left wing politics, and they're calling everybody outside right wing. As far as I can see, inside and all, it's left wing politics, and it's all that is permitted to be spoken about, and you're heckled and jeered if you speak about anything else. And if you think that you're going to take somebody from the Shannon or the Dáil or within the civil service, any of these NGO sectors, and put them in there, and you think that you're going to get something different, you're not. You're going to get more of the same. This is a woman here who educates her children at home, so obviously doesn't trust the education system. So that's Article 42. The family is the natural primary educator of the child. Therefore, the state guarantees to protect the institution of the family and guarantees that you can educate your children at home, in school, in public school, in private school, whatever the parent or the mother or father so designates. You know what I mean? And I'm so. The other video that I sent you there was RTE with Micheál Martin, and he's a school teacher.
Yeah.
So he had a school teacher trying to dictate to a highly educated woman who actually an architect, so she could build you a house.
And a barrister.
She
So you
could
can't
design
talk
you
about
a house.
laws
She could
and
actually do
constitution.
all the legal paperwork on it, and then she could provide you family to run the house, which I'm sure she's done for herself. And she's educating her children in the house. This is an ideal woman.
So
And she makes no bones about her Catholic religion. You're a Protestant, Rick, and you make no apologies about that. I'm a Catholic, and I make no apologies about that. And if someone's a Muslim, I don't expect them to make any apologies about that. Or if someone's a Jew or a Sikh, I don't expect them to make any apologies about that. Why? Because that would be an insult to your culture, your traditions, and everything that you've been reared. Everything that you've been reared. Article 1, the Irish nation, the Irish people, hereby affirms its inalienable, indefeasible, and sovereign right to choose its own form of government. So we're getting a choice here to do that, people.
yeah.
To choose its own form of government, to determine its relations with other nations through its own life, political, economic, and cultural, in accordance with its own genius and traditions. This
So
woman here is a conservative. So that means middle of the road. And we have been that far up the left and swinging to the right and swinging to the left and swinging to the right. The waters are choppy, and this ship needs to settle down. This country needs to reel itself in, and they need to think about what a president can do. It's a highly ceremonial, diplomatic position, but they're a buffer zone. And because we have had left-wing, progressive, liberals in the past three, you had Mary Robinson, Mary McAleese, and you know what I mean? They're both serving, or three of them serving 14 years apiece. There's what, 32 years? Give it 32 years of leftism, progressivism, and the government keep coming after those four articles, what I keep stating. Articles 41, fundamental rights, personal rights, Articles 40, personal rights, Articles 41, the family, Articles 42, education, Articles 43, private property, and Articles 44, freedom of religion. What's the government been trying to do since I've got into all this here? They've been trying to dilute all those things in the Constitution. And if you dilute something enough, then it is the state takes over. Yeah. We have these rights, and it's up to the people. It's up to the people. It doesn't matter about the words or whatever in a constitution. The state will do the day-to-day business. That's what they're paid to do as civil servants, right? They'll make mess ups, and they'll do this and they'll that. It's up to us as stewards. We've got stewardship over the constitution, and she would be, if elected and if nominated, she needs to get nominated here first, because the only one that's nominated is Catherine Connolly. So yeah, there's somebody else out there that says that they've secured the vote, but I don't see his name in any of this, and that's Conor McGregor. And he's the presidential office is, they can refer a bill to the Supreme Court to check its constitutionality. Right? That's very important. The Supreme Court are justices, and they're all constitutional experts, and they will have to actually check the consistency. Does it outweigh this, or does it outweigh that? The scales of justice. And that's what will rule in favor. and we will have a good woman there that will refer things like the EU Migration Pact has 2 years before it actually comes into law. So that's on the 26th of June 2026. So there's still time to repeal that because it's repugnant to the Constitution, because it has durable relationships all over it, and that was a constitutional question. Do we want durable relationships and church and other durable relationships to replace the family? And we said no. Also, they put 72 different genders through in the hate and incitement to violence bill 2022, and took out the hate speech element and put in 72 different genders and pushed it through under emergency circumstances. The Constitution does not permit for 72 different genders. It permits for man, woman, citizen, human, person, his, her, family. You know what I mean? It does not permit for cisgender, agender, fluid gender, dog face. You know what I mean? It says in the Constitution in Article 40, all all citizens as human persons will be treated equally before the law. Nobody, the state cannot have due regard to capacity, etc., moral standing, whatever. So there's your rights which are already in. So is what these people looking, these minorities, are they looking more rights than someone else? That's not equality. That is not, it's actually contradictory to equality. The Constitution permits for equality.
You see, let's draw this to a sort of a conclusion here, right? And just take a minute or two. This is a poll that was published or done through a publication, the Journal. Okay, now of course polls, you can take them or leave them, but they do give some kind of an indication where things are at. Okay, they may or not be completely accurate, but I just brought this up because I was looking for this lady's name. I see it down there, Maria Steen, independent. 1,600 people in the poll, give or take 2 people would have went behind her. She's ahead of Sean Kelly, she's ahead of Billy Kelleher, she's ahead of Gareth Sheridan, but well behind on the scheme of things, or by the looks of things here, from Jim Gavin, Heather Humphreys, Catherine Connolly, and Nick Delahanty as well. And I've seen his name popping up. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I'm looking at this woman in particular. Let me ask you a question really briefly. What's it going to take for her to get them numbers up to the point whereby she could be officially nominated, and then after that nomination, assuming that it's successful, is secured? What's going to be needed to get her into that office in a nutshell?
Well, the last election there was the lowest turnout since 1923. Of those eligible to vote, 50% were registered to vote, and out of that 50%, 47% of them got up and went to the polls. That's 102 years ago. That was the creation of the Irish Free State, so it shows you that there was low confidence in it. So as I say there, any representative government has to have popular opinion behind it, right? And if it doesn't have popular opinion behind it, and it continues, well, then it's tyrannical. And we know that the government at the minute, there's no election in the horizon that we know about. The next scheduled one is in 4 years' time or something. You know what I mean? But if you had Maria Steen in there and she got 14 years to steady the ship, to as a what would you call it, an auditor of legislation that's been pushed through for the signature, with practically a senile man there signing anything that was put in front of him, like Joe Biden, and pushing it through. We need to bring it back here, people. And there's one way of doing it, is Maria Steen can just turn around and say, well, that's encroaching on people's fundamental rights, and that needs referred to test the constitutionality and its validity. in the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And then what that does is, this is, if you don't do that, you have the right of judicial review of executive powers. After that, if the judge or the president doesn't do that. But if the president does do that, and the Supreme Court rules in our favor or against us, that can't be reviewed again. It's made law. That's the difference here. So we could be losing out on a lot of things here, because let's get back to common sense. Let's get back to sensibility, people. Let's stop all the Americanized politics and running up and down streets and all that. What you need to do is check the register, register to vote, and you need to speak to people. We need a unified voice in this. We need to pick a candidate. Conor McGregor, look at that woman there that you're only after showing there, and then look at Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Who's taking dick pics and sending them to women, and he's got a family, and then the next day he's sitting there with his daughter and a thing. Is this what you want for your president, people? Wobble your head if it is. I don't want anything to do with anybody that, you know what I mean? You're really desperate. You're really desperate. You're really scraping the ass of the barrel if that's what you want for your president. A man, we're running about there beating people up in parks for taking their dick out and saying that there's paedophile hunters running about. And I'm not saying Conor McGregor's a paedophile or anything like that there, but there is cases there that he's up in sexual assaults and all that too. Oh, but sure, that's okay. He's one of the lads. Well, if he was one of the lads, why hasn't he funded anything? Why hasn't he put his hand in his pocket? He talks about this infinite cash, and he's driving about in his Rolls Royce now. He's a complete and absolute bullshitter. And he's out there spoofing about direct democracy. Articles 47 and 48 of the 1922 Constitution. Articles 47 and 48 were innovative provisions that were never permitted by the king to come into effect. That's a fact. They were repealed in 1926. 4 years after the Constitution came in, and after being repealed for that 2-year period, like we have now with the EU Migration Pact, nobody challenged it. So then they were removed. Articles 47 and 48 were removed by a Fine Gael government. De Valera never got back into power in 1932, people, so you can't blame De Valera for removing direct democracy. But under the current Constitution, it states that any law which is in effect and a law immediately before and coming into the operation of this Constitution being Seer Stad Earn. So any law that remained was to continue on into this year. So direct democracy was not continued on, but people are saying, oh, we want the right of referendum. You have the right of referendum in this year. Maria Steen could refer bills to the Supreme Court, and then the people, the Supreme Court could initiate, right, we need the people to have the final say in this year. This needs to go to referendum, national referendum. And that's our only way of slowing down this destruction of life and our fundamental rights. This is, as far as I can see, anything in the horizon, they're killing all the new locally elected. They're running about, they can't sit down, they're shouting at each other online. It's tit for tat, it's pathetic. It's pathetic.
I can't see her engaging in that. The only thing I've seen her engaging in is educated, controlled debate, conversation, with knowledge, wisdom, and eloquence. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
We need here. We need brains, people. We need somebody. We don't need a celebrity.
No.
A cage fighter. Somebody who's taking pictures of their penis and sending it to women across the world and claiming to be the best daddy in the world. I don't know. Maybe he's in a swingers relationship, but is that a moral way of bringing up your? He's professing to be a Christian. He's professing now to be a constitutional expert. He's full of shit. I'm telling you now, he's peddling red herrings.
Well,
and he's a distraction. for
without
good
taking
people
away.
that gets here, like Maria Steen and even Nick Delahunty or whatever.
Yeah,
Either
that's
or, but I would prefer Maria Steen.
well, that's what I'm trying to do here today, because sometimes people, they're not following what's going on in this sphere. They don't know what options are available there. They don't know what candidates are actually running or what the significance is of this presidential role, albeit on the surface it looks like a ceremonial role, but it can act, as you say, as a handbrake to the plummeting off the edge of the cliff that it looks like we're heading towards. There's no two ways about it. So I'll leave a link in the description box below. And of course, there's been a lot of ground covered here. People, if you're listening in, leave your comments and thoughts and opinions below. Is this woman viable? Is she just another also ran? Has she got some weight behind her? What do you think? Were you even aware of her? Are you now aware of her? Are you going to go and look some more into it? Let me know what your thoughts and comments are below. And I'll put a link through as well to her page, whatever it is. So you can go and check it out yourself. Like I said, I have no skin in this game. I'm only covering it as something that's on the horizon, very close on the horizon. We're talking about November. We're into September now. So we're talking about 8 weeks from now, this will be actually happening. And then it will be something everybody's talking about. So I'm trying to sort of preempt that a little bit there. So Mark, appreciate
Get registered to vote, people.
Get
registered. It's the most important thing that you can do. Register to vote and go out and vote. At least go out and vote for a candidate. Register to vote, because the past turnout for presidential, local, European and national elections has been diabolical. And that's why these people in government are ruling with impunity. So this is one small window of opportunity of putting a handbrake on.
Well, there you go. And you can't say you weren't told, you can't say you weren't warned, and you can't say you weren't encouraged to go out and do that. So I'll leave a link in the description box below. Mark, big thanks to you as always for taking time out to come on here and just speak very frankly and very openly and very succinctly about the issues that are at hand. So that is Mark Anthony. I am Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media, and we are over and out.